welcome to this week's edition of Art Things Considered, where we consider art. My name is Matthew Slaza.
I'm Isabella Pico.
I'm Sabrina Braga.
And I'm Nico Williams.
And this week we've got a packed show for you. I'm going to warn you, it may run a little bit long because we have so many cool things to talk about and because we have a problem with not talking about things we like too long.
Yeah.
Just being honest. And we have a really awesome interview for you later, so of course that adds some time. But I promise that if you make it through, it will be worthwhile. And that is starting with a hopefully a little bit shorter than usual Broadway beat. Hit them with it.
Yeah, not a lot to talk about this week, guys. We're just going to fly through it real fast. Three really big things. Number one, Sarah Bareilles is officially joining the Waitress cast.
I was so mad.
Yes. Well, because
I'll never be able to go.
Yeah.
In this time frame.
Oh God, no! She's gonna be. Let me see. It was Jessie Mueller. Sorry, will be doing her last performance March 26th, and then Sarah will be on the show until June 11th, which is the day after my birthday. So if anyone out there wants to get me some tickets for a birthday gift, you are more than welcome to. Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. I literally priced out how much it would be for me to take Sam and I because she's such a huge fan of Sarah Bareilles.
Aww.
And I was just like, oh my God, because between flights and the tickets just for the show, just to go and only do that, it's such a ridiculous amount of money to spend.
It's crazy. Well, speaking of money, though, after the first day it was announced that she was going to be in the show, they had their highest ticket sales. It was 1.2 million in one day.
Goodness.
People went and bought tickets.
I mean, yeah.
It's crazy.
That's the whole, to be honest with you, inside baseball, guaranteed that's the reason she's doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Because the show hasn't been doing super well ticket-wise. They've been running a lot of specials. And it's just like an American Idiot when Billy Joe Armstrong came and played, St. Jimmy for a while, and it boosted tons of tickets because of star power. I guarantee it's the same thing.
Well, speaking of money and making money and that type of thing, I actually read when I was going through all the news and information of her joining the show that Waitress was recouped its $12 million investment in less than 10 months when it first started. And it was the only show besides Hamilton, the 2015-2016 season, to make its profit back, which is crazy. Well, so far.
So far, yeah.
Yeah, so far.
I think Hamilton has more than made its money back.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Just a smidge.
I'm a little worried about that show. I don't know if it's going to make a profit.
I don't know, man. I could see it within the next couple months, just really just disappearing.
Yeah.
No one will talk about
Oh,
it.
and other news, I think they've erected a Hamilton sign permanently in front of the theater.
Really?
Unrelated
Wow.
to the show. No, it's just ridiculous. That show's going to run for 20 years.
Yeah.
They
forever.
have Alexander Hamilton's grave in
Yeah.
Wall Street.
Which is
I
kinda
walked
cool.
past by it and I was like, oh my God, this is weird. I wasn't
it
looking
makes
for
sense.
this. I wasn't looking for it at all.
It's just hanging out there. Just hanging out there.
Just like he was, though.
But
Yeah.
true.
Getting back to Waitress, I really do think, as much as I love Sarah Bareilles, I think this is a very big, let's try and keep the show alive type move.
Yeah.
Because even though it sold really well at the beginning and they kept costs low so they could recoup a lot faster, I'm worried it's going to close in the next 6 months unless this boost works,
This is probably going to boost it a lot. Well, it's already boosted it 1.2 million. So,
which is nothing to sneeze at, to be fair.
Yeah, no, they've got that going. But next topic of information, I'm sure you guys have seen the Beauty and the Beast clips. A bunch of the ones have been released already for a snippet of Belle got released.
Now I feel like I've seen the whole movie.
No.
Yeah.
Quiet. No.
I haven't watched the clips yet.
Okay.
I guess I missed them.
Belle,
Don't ruin them.
A little bit of a clip for Belle
No.
came out.
Spoiler
And then
alert.
a little clip for Gaston came out. But Gaston was
Gaston's in it. It's ruined.
No.
I can't go see it.
Gaston was smaller than small. It wasn't even it wasn't even a full minute, I'm pretty sure. But it's great because you can see Josh Gad and Luke Evans and their awesome bromance chemistry
Aw.
for evil dudes they have together. It's
Speaking
fantastic.
of Josh Gad, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but he's been trying to get information out of Daisy Ridley.
Yes, and he dragged Chris Pratt and a bunch of them into it too.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it too much, but I just think that anybody listening should go watch that immediately because it's one of the most entertaining
I don't know
threads.
what this is.
Oh, look it up. There's 4 videos of him trying to get spoilers for Star Wars from Daisy Ridley.
I know for a fact you can go to either his Instagram or Chris Pratt's because Chris Pratt went and reposted all of them so he could put on his video that he's in with it too. So it's really funny. He's
That is funny.
He asks her questions. He's like, "Is Finn paralyzed from the waist down?"
Yeah, but genuinely, if you look it up, definitely worth watching.
It's great.
But getting back to Beauty and the Beast, I'll check out the clips maybe.
Yes, definitely check them out. It made me really pumped for the movie because, number one, Emma is flawless as usual, but it was really cool because they really kept to the original score because Alan Menken is helping with it, but it's not with who is it? Howard Ashman? Yeah, Howard Ashman was the one who did it with him originally, but alas, he's dead. So Tim Rice is the one. So Tim Rice is the one helping him with it now. But because they're like doing the live action movie, when you listen to the clip for Belle, it's not. The original score is there and you can hear it, but they change it just a tad, and then instead of being like very vague, like Belle's talking to, the little baker man, whoever, but they get kind of more detailed with the conversation. Like she's like, "Oh, have you lost something, monsieur?" Like, and his name. And then he's like, "Oh, no, I haven't." And he's like, "Where are you off to?" And she says like the guy's actual name who owns the bookshop. And she says like she's reading a story about two lovers in Verona. And like, it's just nice because they get more, there's more detail and more realistic, more live action than the animated movie where it's kind of like, oh, I'm just going to the bookstop,
No, I get you. It's more like entrenching it in the real world.
And obviously some of the lines have been given to different people. Like a couple little kids are singing in the song now instead of like it all being adults. And just watch it. Go watch it. It was really worth it. Emma was amazing. And the Gaston clip is looking fantastic too. Luke Evans, Josh Gad, like I said, amazing singers, awesome bromance.
All right. Anything else for us this week?
Dear Evan Hansen is in the top 20 for the Billboard 200 albums chart, which is really, really impressive.
For a musical, it's nuts, yeah.
Yeah, because it's that show and Hamilton are both on the Billboard charts right now. This is the first time in 52 years that two Broadway cast albums are both in the top 20.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Doctor. Shoot, I keep saying doctor because I look at my notes and it's like Dr. Evan Hansen. No, it's Dear Evan Hansen is sitting at number 8 and Hamilton is sitting at number 13.
You know what's kind of crazy is when I saw Dear Evan Hansen, I was like, wow. 2 years in a row, Broadway brought crossover hits, huh?
Yeah.
Because this thing is going to blow up like crazy. And it's already blowing up slowly. Like, the album hasn't even technically released. Like, the physical album releases this Friday.
Oh, wow.
And it's already in the top 20. People are already talking about it.
Pre-orders, right?
Yeah, well,
Or
okay.
how does that work?
I'll break it down for you
digital.
real quick.
Digital was released on the 3rd.
Yeah, so the Billboard 200 ranks the week's most popular albums based on their overall consumption. So the overall unit figure combines pure album sales, its track equivalent albums, and streaming equivalent albums. So for Dear Evan Hansen, they've already sold 29,000 equivalent album units. And that was for the end of February 9th for that week. Now, just to like...
Which was the first week it was released digitally before any sort of buzz happened about the digital release, and before, which it's not coming out till Friday, the digital or the real physical copy comes out.
Yeah. And just like for comparison, Hamilton gets about 25,000 per week.
Yeah, but it's Hamilton.
Yeah, but it's Hamilton. But just to show you that, Dear Evan Hansen's been, you just said it's only been out, what, a week, give or take?
I would not be shocked based on the couple songs that feel really poppy if it got really popular really fast.
Yeah, so... But yeah, no, that's about it. The last time that this happened where it was two Broadway albums was with Hello Dolly and Fiddler on the Roof.
Wow.
Throwback.
Yeah.
Hello, Dolly.
Yeah. And then these, Hamilton and Dear Evan Hansen's are 2 of 4 Broadway cast albums to ever crack the top 10.
Crack.
Yeah. Crack.
2 of 4 in the last 2 years. Isn't that crazy?
The other ones were Hair and Book of Mormon.
Oh, yeah.
Facts,
Book
guys.
of Mormon was up there
Hair.
for a while.
Yeah. But that's it. I think I really want to listen to the album now because for it to move that fast up that quickly.
I can't believe you haven't listened to it yet.
I just haven't gotten around to it, honestly.
I do have to admit, having seen the show, that the show's not that clear from the album because it's only like 14 songs and the show is 2 hours and the album's an hour. I think it's 2 hours plus
All right.
for the show. But I mean, like, the story's kind of clear. It's just you lose a lot of the nuance and the story in there. The overall plot's still there, but the songs are so good. They're so catchy, and they're just so fun. I've been listening to it nonstop. I shouldn't say nonstop. Consistently.
Get it.
I got it. They've been. I've been listening to it.
It's a Hamilton song. Sorry. Continue, please.
Oh, you're good. Just more as a shout out to the listeners. If you can't afford to buy it, it's on Spotify and Apple Music. So if you use either of those, Spotify is completely free. Apple Music costs per month, but I have a student discount, as hopefully most of you do. So it's only like $5 per month, and you can listen to as much music as you want.
I pay for Spotify Premium
Same
because
thing.
it just increases the quality of my life
True.
so much. Shameless plug in for
They're both
Apple
solid.
Music and
Yeah,
Spotify.
they're both solid. I just picked Apple Music.
Spotify, Apple.
Is this your shameless plea for some sponsorship?
Let's go ahead and get some of those benefits rolling our way.
Yeah.
I will take 50% off any of the least selling albums on iTunes.
The least.
I you know what? I'm not picky. I will listen to music. I would like some cheap music.
Yeah, just some good cartoon
It's all gonna
jams.
be like, well, no.
I will take
forget.
Yacht Rock for $0. Anyway, so that was Broadway Beat, as Isabella so eloquently put it. But we're moving into local theater. We actually had an interview this week with Afshin Masagi, and he was the director of the Florida Players production of MF with a Hat. Yes, indeed, MF with a Hat. And that opens this weekend at the Squateri Theater it's a black box theater in the Phillips Center. And of course, I reiterate this several times during the interview, but I'll go ahead and toss it over to them. It was a pleasure interviewing him. All right, everybody, welcome to this week's local theater segment. We have an interview this week. Get excited. It is with the director of the Florida Players production of MF with a Hat. That opens this weekend, February 24th through 26th. They're going to have 5 shows as usual, a Friday night show, a Saturday night show, and a Sunday night show, and then, of course, the Saturday and Sunday matinees. And this time, it's going to be at the Squateri Black Box Theater in the Phillips Center. If you have any questions of how to get there, Google helps you so well. Let me just say, there have been many a time that I have not been able to find a theater in Gainesville, and Google has never let me down. But with that said, we're going to go ahead and bring in the director, Afshin Masagi, who's going to talk about the production. How are you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Doing good, yeah?
Yeah. It's a stressful week. It's been a few stressful last few weeks, but I'm really excited. I'm really, really, really excited that in a few days we'll be opening up. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's Hell Week, right? Because you guys have to go through everything and do dress rehearsals.
Yeah, it's Hell Week. It's Tech Week right now, which in the world of theater is like the worst week ever, but it's also like the funnest week ever. It's like the most fun you don't want to have again. It's like when everything comes together, you get your set together, all the designers who you've been meeting separately get to meet the cast, and like all the world of acting and the world of production come together, and they put on this beautiful performance that you guys are going to see, the 24th through 26th. So yeah, it's a really exciting week, but it's a really, really stressful week because we have long hours, long days, and not to mention we're all students here. I'm a graduate student. All the actors and production teams are all students. So not only do they have their normal classes, normal projects, but now they're doing this extra stuff. So yeah, it's a lot, but really excited stuff. Really, really excited for the show.
Yeah, I completely feel you on Hell Week because it's kind of interesting. It's the one thing that I feel like people don't get to appreciate as much when we're in the higher positions because it's like, as the director, you're sitting there and seeing everything you've been working on separately come together and be like, oh, wow, that's a nice moment. So you get those wow moments, but you're also stressed trying to make the whole show come together. So like there's the side of like, oh, it's all coming together, but there's also the side of, let's get this together. No, let's make sure this works. Yeah. And you're kind of sitting there as a little bit of panic sometimes.
Right,
and
right.
It's always funny because when I look back at it, anytime I talk to a director after the show, they're like, man, that was really cool how everything like actually worked out and everyone loved the show. Yeah. I'm like, sometimes take a step back this week. Take a step back and enjoy it because I always feel like people don't get to.
No, absolutely. I mean, this is I've not directed too many shows before, but I have directed shows, and when I was directing other shows, I've had shorter tech weeks, so I had bigger sets. So I know it can happen. It can easily happen, and it's definitely going to happen. But like right now, you watch like literally the minutes on the clock happening. Like we gotta, we gotta do this by this time and this by this time, for us to be on schedule. But the show goes on, and this show will go on beautifully, and I'm super excited to see what happens. So
yeah, and would you mind giving us a little rundown of the show itself so that people have an idea of what they're going to see?
Absolutely. So the show with the Hat, it's written by Stephen Adley Gurgis, who's a great playwright. He writes lots of plays. He's still living. Writes a new play every so many years that is absolutely breathtaking. He just won a Pulitzer Prize for a play he just wrote in 2016. But this play kind of follows the life and times of a few characters, namely Jackie. Jackie is a recovering alcoholic living in New York City who is whose girlfriend is Veronica, a still current alcoholic, drug addict living in New York City. So it's kind of interesting to see their relationship, and he has a sponsor by the name of Ralph D, who is also a recovering alcoholic, and his wife Victoria is a recovering alcoholic as well. So they get into these interesting conversations about addiction and living an urban lifestyle and living with addicts and recovering addicts. And a whole love triangle ensues with everybody, as you can imagine. But the show is really a love story. Like I believe a lot of shows are. I have that weird artistic vision that like all shows, no matter what, like Transformers is about love. So I have this weird thing that like all things are really rooted in like a love story. But this one's really about how love and hate are very, very similar emotions, and how if you think of it like on like a linear thing. Most people think that love and hate are on opposite sides of a line, and in the middle is indifference. But in reality, and how I kind of the artistic vision for this production has been that love and hate, it's more of a circle, and love and hate are on one side of the circle, and the direct opposite is indifference. So love and hate are very similar, if not the same emotions, and the exact opposite is indifference. So we've kind of been messing around with that idea in both our production and our actor preparedness. So yeah, I hope that comes across to the audience, and I think that that's something that no matter what our backgrounds are, we can kind of relate to that. I'm going to go ahead and assume a lot of our viewers who are going to come see the show, those living in Gainesville and those who attend the University of Florida, won't have had those issues like living in urban New York or addicted to cocaine or whatever it might be. But
hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Yeah, let's cross our fingers. But I still think that at the end of the day, anybody can relate to these characters. So I'm really excited to see. Hear the response of the average person coming to see the show, be like, oh, wow, like, although we're totally different, I kind of understand what this person was going through. So,
yeah, one of the best things, it's hard as a director sometimes, but one of the best things to hear is the audience feedback from a show and how they have a completely different perspective than you. You can sometimes see, oh, man, I wish I'd known that. But usually it's more of I never would have thought of that story identifying with that story, because everyone brings in as an audience their own perspective in their own stories, which is really the best part of theater in the end, is the different ways it can be interpreted and the different ways people can think of it. But I've seen a number of shows that involve some sort of substance abuse, and I can tell you I've never personally had a battle with that, but all of those stories apply to other internal struggles, and you can see the steps that are in common, and you go, wow, I never would have thought of that person's struggle being similar to my struggle with something so drastically different. And then, of course, what you were saying about love and hate, I think everyone has been in a relationship where that line's a little bit wonky and you can't understand it, and you're trying to sit there and figure it out. And I love the fact that you didn't look at it as polar opposites, that you looked at it as more of this intertwined thing,
Yeah. No, definitely. It's hard sometimes. I think as human beings, we want to separate emotions, and we want to have these clear cut. Okay, this makes me happy. This thing makes me sad. But I think that ultimately, when you study psychology or you study like just yourself, and you think about it, like you think of yourself as just a very complicated human being. One thing I read recently was like our emotions are so complicated that we can love somebody and not want to talk to them ever. Yeah, and that's a very complicated thing. Like, how does that work? And and weirdly, that I've experienced that right now. Like, there's people that I love, and I'm just like, I don't want to speak to that person regularly, at least. So it's an interesting thing. But kind of going back to what you were saying about how people kind of interpret things differently. That's like one of my favorite parts about theater and generally the arts is how people can interpret things. And for example, one of the most famous plays ever written, at least in the theater world, is Brecht's Mother Courage. And everybody writes about how Mother Courage is this great war classic hero or war classic play. Like it's it's the most important play in the world of war or whatever, the topic of war. But I think it's more about poverty. It's a huge commentary on poverty than anything else. So I think that a lot of people that have read this play or who are going to see this play, I hope people walk away with different things. I mean, I hope none of them are negative or hope of them don't make them think or something. I hope it's not like, oh, that was okay, or oh, I hated that. I mean, if people hate that, then that's also a fun part about theater. Some people don't like it. Some people as a TEA in the theater, appreciation class, I read a lot of people writing their response papers. I know they're probably just trying to get through the paper, but it's interesting to see how a lot of people hate certain aspects and like the same aspects and vice versa. So,
and getting on that, it's kind of interesting to me because I've seen a fair number of plays because I love theater so much.
Right.
But I can tell you there are times in theater and in movies and anything artistic where you have a moment where you might hate something, but you love that you hate it, or you have a moment where you love something, but you hate that you're loving it.
Right.
And that's where that comes in the emotional spectrum in theater is like you can have a character that you thought you hated the entire time go through something and suddenly you have a switch. And that's one of the most powerful parts of art is when you can put somebody in that perspective as the director particularly and switch it on them and make them realize and think differently and feel things they didn't expect.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that I think this production or my job would have been a success if people come out of that play, if people come out of the shows either this Friday night, Saturday during the day, Saturday night, Sunday during the day, or Sunday night.
All 5 shows.
All 5 shows. Please come see all 5 shows. Either hating it or loving it. Because I think that's like, it's exciting, I invoked an emotion, or the actors invoked an emotion, or the designers invoked some kind of emotion. I think that's why I don't like watching TV shows that like a lot of people like, because it's like, okay, that was just kind of like a fluff, that was just like, it got me through the next 30 minutes of my life. I would much rather watch a show that I absolutely hated because I could like talk about why I hated it.
And it challenges you.
It challenges me like, okay, what could I have done differently kind of thing. Then just thought, okay, this was okay kind of thing, or that was mediocre.
And you talked a little bit about your thought process as far as like the actors thinking of things a certain way. What would you say is your directing style, particularly for this one? Because of course it varies.
My directing style, particularly for this, was I like the organic feel of theater. I like the organic feel of watching people on stage and seeing what people are. So I use this word, I floated this word around called ultra realism. And in the world of artistic periods of theater or art, I like to think it's like a mesh between naturalism and realism, in the sense that like I'm okay with the actors laughing on stage. I'm okay with the actors, using their cell phones, maybe even responding to a text message, because that's how we react in real life. Like, life isn't clean, life isn't beautiful. And this might sound weird, but this was an example I gave to the actors. Is like, I'm okay with you guys farting on stage or burping on stage or having your back towards the audience. But at the same time, I think that a lot of people would get bored, including myself, watching somebody change on stage for 20 minutes or, do something kind of like sit there and watch a dinner scene happen for, a long period of time. And it's not even written in the play. So why would you kind of add that kind of thing? So we kind of are mixing the worlds of realism and naturalism together and blending them as best as we can. And then we're putting in 2017, like this play. One of the things that one of my artistic visions is, as as a lover of theater is dying. If especially regional theaters and plays, musicals everybody loves, but theater and plays in particular are kind of
straight plays are having a rough time.
Straight plays are having a rough time for sure. So I'm trying to make this play relatable and specific to 18 to 22-year-olds living in Gainesville, Florida, that are college students. That's my target audience. So I think one of the biggest things I can do for that is put it into 2017. Also, one thing that I've been working with the idea and I've been challenging myself with is the idea that I don't think I've ever seen a movie or seen a play or musical or whatever and not known I was in a play or musical or watching a movie. Does it make sense? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not like, oh, wow, like this is real life, And I think that a lot of theater goers and movie makers are like, we need to make sure that the audience has suspended that disbelief, or they kind of, okay, that's so. One thing that we're doing is really interesting is when we have our set changes, we're having the crew come out and not in the normal blacks, like trying to be hidden. We're just coming out in normal clothes, 2017, whatever they have in the closets, and moving the set around, because that's, everybody knows we're in the theater, everybody knows we're watching the show together. So I'm kind of like working with that idea. That's not an original idea, that's Quentin Tarantino's idea. So I'm kind of stealing that and seeing what I can do within the Black Box Theater over at the Phillips Center. So I'm really excited to see how that turns out and see what the response is for that too.
Yeah, it's always interesting whenever I see a show. That's one of the number one things I look for is, like, one, set changes in general, but like, how did they work in the transitions and what was their purpose? So I always try to guess. And so for that, I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's like, oh, well, you're seeing a show. This is what's happening in this. It almost adds to like the reality because they're dressed just like everyone else. They're people just like everyone else. That's an interesting take.
Yeah.
But what I'm always most interested in from a directorial perspective, because I always ask, is how did you go about connecting this whole other world of lights and sound and the set with your vision for the show?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, as a director, and I can only talk like as me and what I did in this circumstance. So, and I've done this a few times before. What I do is I write a long email, and I write this email, and then after I write that email, I send it to everybody I have, everybody that's joins in or leaves a production team. I make sure I send that same email, and it's just my general artistic vision. And the word I used was realism too, and another word I used was simple. I wanted simplicity, and not to be confused with minimalism. Simplicity doesn't mean it's not complicated or complex. It just at least appears simple.
Yeah, the idea that it's able to be digested easily for an audience. Yeah.
Exactly. So once I kind of, freeballed that idea around to my production team, my scenic designer, my lighting designer, costume designer, whatever, I'm like, hey, okay, so you got my general idea. Take it and go with it now. Like, ask me as many questions as you want from the get-go or from, right now. Email me back. Let's have a conversation. Let's Skype, whatever it might be. You can even show me some things that you might have in your mind, but after that, I want you to design. Because then the cool thing about that is, like, not only oftentimes do you find yourself surprised with how good of a job they take your idea, but then you're surprised about how your ideas have developed or how it's expanded in their minds. So I love that feeling of like, okay, I gave them, and then you take credit for it, of course, because
you're the director.
You're the director. Yeah. Like, you take all the credit. So as soon as they take that idea of being simple, or in this case, ultra realistic, and then making these beautiful set designs or costume designs or whatever, I'm like, ooh, I did that. So, but in reality though, like, it's just the idea that they get. I give them the original seed, and they just make into the plant, the beautiful plant that it becomes. So.
Yeah, and the cool thing about that style that I find that I like is that you see such different styles of each thing, but they're all cohesive.
Right.
And so that's where it becomes your job, though, is to go, oh, okay, you ran with it. It looks awesome. Let's take these things and make them a little different so that they make sense with this thing.
Yeah.
And then you, of course, you take the credit. You also give the credit back whenever possible.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of me just messing around, but no, absolutely. I mean, and that's not to say that every few days I talk to my designer, especially this week. I'll be talking to them every day as much as I can about certain things, but they're definitely always checking it up with me. I was like, hey, is this direction? And I always give the okay, or I'm very, in that respect, I'm very kind of engaged in the process, but I try not to be overpowering or be like, no, I want this instead of this. I'm like, okay, well, let's think about this kind of thing. So I think that's a good way to live life in general, but I think that also is a really good artistic thing, because more, I find that it's in every art form is a collaborative process, or it can be, but I think theater is like the art form that's exclusively like you have to collaborate. So I think that's a great way to be a collaborative artist, is to have that mentality about things.
Yeah, and ultimately it comes down to the end product. Like everyone's working as hard as they can to make, boom, those moments. Yeah. It's
always interesting to see what happens, because it's all about the end product, and sometimes what you think is a good end product is not as what people might not like that, and that's always heartbreaking. But then in a weird way, you hope that they don't necessarily, as we were talking before, you hope that they don't like dislike it. You just hope they like it for another reason.
Yeah,
so that's always nice.
It's interesting as a director because, I come from like more of a film and TV background, but it's a very similar thing, especially with what you said before about, everyone gives credit to the director. It's like, there's this huge film, right? Tons of lights, tons of cameras and everything, and everyone goes, oh man, Michael Bay did a really good job, or, like, oh great, Christopher Nolan did a great job. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah, they did a good job helming it all, but everyone else did a good job. So I get that idea, and that's why it's like, oh no, the Christopher Nolan would be like, oh no, it was him and him and him. So you get those two perspectives on director. But I think the interesting thing about what you're saying is like you hope it's a positive response, or even if it's a negative response, you're hoping that they were engaged with it. And so that's the hardest thing as a director, is getting over not catering to your audience enjoying the show, but more focusing on the audience understanding what you were trying to get them to understand.
Absolutely. Yeah. I used to do this thing when in the last few shows I've directed where I would just create a hashtag and I'm like, hey guys, like tweet out, Facebook, Instagram, just tell us why you like it, why you don't like it. And I want to hear it. Like if you hate it, tell me. Like I want to know. And so, I was pleased when you checked the statistics on the hashtag. I was more pleased to see like the numbers up than like, I'd rather see a lot of like, oh, that sucked than just no hashtag, hashtags at all. But, I think that was an interesting thing. A director once told me, I'm an actor. A director once told me that never become a director. Because although we're in the world of, the arts or performances, but, the average person, what they see on the screen is what they see, and it's like, oh, that's the only person doing it, so they only look at the actor, right? So the director so they said don't do it because the director gets all the blame and none of the glory, none of the applause. Because if a show's good, a movie's good, it's because the actor was so beautiful, oh, the actor was so perfect. But then when it's bad, I was like, oh, it's the director's fault. So
see, it's funny though because it's like inside baseball wise, that's the identification. Anyone who's in the arts industry is like, wow, great job. You really brought all these things together. And usually anyone else who's in it's like talks to the actor, sure, but like the director is the one they go straight to. Whereas the audience is just like, man, so-and-so was really good in that movie.
Yeah.
So it's funny that we can see both perspectives as an audience member and somebody involved.
Right.
Just the last thing I always have everybody do this is why should they go see the show? If they have a little bit of free time this weekend, they could go take a ride on a bike, go to the park or something. What should make them go see this over something else?
Absolutely. Well, first off, it's free. And this is one of the very few opportunities you get to see, free professional level theater in North Central Florida. So absolutely, you should definitely come see it. If not only because it's free, but also it's entertaining, it's funny. You'll laugh till you cry and you'll cry till you laugh. It's meaningful. And it's also a really contemporary piece of theater, which, compared to, if Shakespeare bores you, if Greek plays or what you would think is like the classic theater idea, get that out of your brain, come see this play. And if you like that kind of stuff, then you're going to love this even more. So, if you hate theater because it's boring because of the Shakespeare and the Moliere and the things you've heard before.
Oh, Moliere.
Yeah, forget about that. You want to come see this. And if you like that, even more of a reason you want to come see that. So I think that, especially if you're into a good time and you're into seeing some really funny antics, this is a play for you.
Awesome. Well, I got to tell you, I always ask that question. I'm sold generally because I love theater.
Right.
But I always want to see like the person who's like, my friend invited me to this thing, but there's a party. I want them to understand the perspective of like, no, this is an experience that's valuable and it's free.
Yeah.
So, and that's my number one thing. Every time I have the Florida Players in, you guys know it, I say, I've never been to a production of the Florida Players that I was disappointed in, which is rare for me,
right?
Which is weird because I can tell you I've seen a couple UF productions that I was disappointed in.
Sure thing.
So that's a big gold star in the Florida Players, but also it's free, guys. So there's really no excuse unless you're out of town for the whole weekend or you have something really, really important to do to just go check this out and experience it.
Yeah, and if you're a college kid, it's a short play. You won't be bored because if you're one of those people that doesn't like sitting through a 2-hour movie or 2-hour play, it's a lot less than 2 hours. And it'll be done before the party even starts. And if you're not a college student and you don't like to party, it's perfect time because it's at 7:30 in the evening. You can get some dinner before, or if you come to the afternoon shows, you can grab some lunch before, and it'll be done before your next meal. And even if you're coming Sunday night, it'll be done before the Oscars turn on.
Done before your bedtime.
Before your bedtime for sure. So
that's a sale.
Yeah.
The sell is it'll be done before the party starts or it'll be done before your bedtime.
Oh,
so
yeah. Easy.
Be sure to check out, again, that was MF with a Hat, Florida Players production. That's going to be this weekend. There's a Friday night show, a Saturday night show, and a Sunday night show, and then 2 matinees on Saturday in the afternoon and Sunday in the afternoon. I'm hearing that we will have the pleasure of a talk back if we go to the Saturday night or Sunday matinee show. So if you want to hear more from the director himself, be sure to show up to those. Again, floridaplayers.org for tickets. They're free. Go on and reserve them. And honestly, if you don't know yet which show you can go to, there have been several times I've had to go to a show last minute. There's almost always room on the standby list that will get you in to see the show.
Absolutely.
So be sure to show up. When in doubt, they'll try to get you in. And it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Did you mention the FloridaPlayers.org?
Yeah, FloridaPlayers.org for tickets. I mentioned it, but it can't hurt to mention again.
Yeah, there you go. And there are plenty of tickets. But as you said, show up if you just want to come 5 minutes before the show. There'll hopefully be space for you. So.
Okay, Squateri Theater, Phillips Center. See you guys there. All right, always great to have the Florida Players involved with Art Things Considered. As I said before, please go support local theater, and it's free, so there's no excuse. Moving on, there are a couple other shows this weekend, if that's not quite your cup of tea. The Who's Tommy is still running at the ART, Crosstown Repertory Theater. It'll be running through March 5th, so be sure to check that out. And Becky's New Car opens this weekend at the Hip. I read the description of this show, and all I can say is it's worth going to the Hip website for. So yeah, we have 3 shows this weekend. We have MF with a Hat for the Florida Players, Who's Tommy, running at the ART, and then Becky's New Car at the Hip. So if you're looking for something to do this weekend and you have a student discount on all of these plus free for one of them, so that makes it a little more obvious maybe what you should choose this weekend. But be sure and go out and support your local theater. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to what I'm personally super excited about, a certain topic over there with Sabrina.
Woot woot. Okay. So I know I usually talk about like scripted television and whatever, but live TV deserves a lot of recognition too. And there's one event in particular that I literally wait longer and anticipate more than any other event on TV ever. And I think it's like more exciting than my birthday. I'm not even going to lie.
Wow.
It's the Oscars.
That is high praise. More exciting than your birthday.
Yeah, because I don't know. I think the buildup around it is like,
there is a lot of buildup.
I got to tell you, the articles make it fun. Like, especially the ones where it's like the directors of 2 different nominated movies do an interview together, like talk about things together.
Or like the Hollywood Reporter does like a round table.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, here's an hour of stuff for
And
me
then
to
you watch
listen
it,
to. Or like watch or whatever.
For me to get pumped about.
For me to lose an hour of homework time on,
Who's hosting?
It's Jimmy Kimmel.
Yes.
So Jimmy Kimmel is hosting the Oscars,
First
which
time
are
hosting
this
the Oscars.
Sunday. Yeah, which I thought was surprising because ABC usually tries to get someone in-house to do
just
it.
like CBS did with Corden.
Right. And then and it makes sense for him. He always did like a post-Oscars show, so I feel like maybe that's
Last
why.
year was when Ben Affleck and what's his name from The Martian?
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. They both came on the show. I'm pretty sure last year.
Yeah, and like Jimmy Kimmel has a
funny.
funny bit with Matt Damon.
It's
For
so
those
good.
of you who don't
Exactly.
know, it's because Jimmy Kimmel started off his career as like a D-list celebrity interviewer, and he would always be like, "Oh, my apologies to Matt Damon. We couldn't get him on the show." And then it kind of it continued as this like joke between the two of them, and then he like, I don't know. It was always like, "Oh, my apologies to Matt Damon. My apologies to Matt Damon."
The hilarity of it is it's carried over as Jimmy Kimmel has actually become a viable person.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's like they still have this like feud or whatever.
Oh, they're totally
even
Yeah, like
though
one
they're
time-
both A-list
One
celebrities.
time Matt Damon like quote unquote kidnapped him and took over the show.
Yeah.
So good.
Another time, like they have this whole running joke about him sleeping with Jimmy's girlfriend / wives. Like the latest bit they did was that Jimmy Kimmel's baby's Matt Damon's. It's not even his.
Matt
Yeah.
Damon's been on that show way too much lately.
No,
Good.
he's on it all the time.
Like in a good
That's
way,
why
but like
it's so
it's impressive.
funny. Yeah.
Oh, the best is when they do the Gentleman's Club. And then Matt Damon shows up at the end. But you got to watch it. Watch the Gentleman's
I mean,
Club. That's a good
I think my personal favorite was when he came on as Tom Brady after the Super Bowl.
one. Oh, my God.
It was
That's
so good this
hilarious.
year.
So good.
Yeah, because he's from Boston.
He's from
So,
Boston, yeah.
Yeah.
And no, my favorite. There are too many, but my favorite is when Ben Affleck sneaks him in his suit. Did you
Oh,
That
guys
was
see
last
that
year.
one?
That was
Yeah.
last year after the
Oh,
Oscars.
That was
Yep.
just
hilarious.
So good.
Good
There was
stuff.
one time where he like at first finally came on the show, and then they had to like end it, and then Matt Damon like blows up and starts like
It's really
cursing.
great,
It's
yeah.
so funny. I still can't tell if that was like real
Or
or
fake,
fake.
yeah.
I don't know.
It was well done though. YouTube it, guys. That's
Yeah.
the
So,
moral
yeah.
of the story.
Moral of the story, YouTube it. I'm so sad Matt Damon isn't nominated for like a movie,
Man,
like for
but you
like
don't
a
know,
leading
like,
actor.
He might use him for skits in the show.
I'm sure he will.
That would be
Yeah, him
awesome.
and Affleck for sure.
They
Yeah,
do stuff in the opening act or opening act.
the opening number.
Opening
Number.
number.
Something.
There we go.
Yeah.
That sounds a little better.
So
Theater girl.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm really excited about it. No one's ever gonna be a better host than Ellen to me.
True. When she gave out pizza that
honestly.
year.
Like that was
Last year was
an amazing
one
year.
of the best years for the Oscars in terms of, or not? That was 2 years ago, right?
That was 2 years ago.
That was
because Jimmy
2 years ago.
Because Chris Rock was last year,
Chris
right?
Chris
Rock was
Because it was
last year.
Oscars Why So White, and it was ironic.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
that the
good.
host was not white.
That was
Chris
a whole
Rock made
hoopla.
so many good jokes that year, though.
He did.
Oh, so
he did.
good.
Was Ellen 3 years ago?
I think she was 2. I
Or
think she
two.
was
I think
right
she was
before
2.
Chris.
Because didn't.
I think it was her.
Yeah, it was 2
It was 2 years ago. And then, oh my god, remember
Because she
that?
did the huge celebrity selfie.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, oh my god, but the year that Anne Hathaway and James
Oh.
Franco
That
did
was
it.
horrible.
Oh, that was so bad. I felt so bad for Anne Hathaway.
I
like,
didn't feel bad at all. I thought they
It
were
was
way
horrible.
underprepared and they made a major mistake doing it.
Oh, I thought so too. I like Anne Hathaway. I just
I don't know why they picked them. to
Why would they
host.
pick
Neither
that
of
was
them are
such
hosts.
a weird team
that's
up.
such
Like,
a yeah.
if they should have done like Anne Hathaway's funny and she can do funny stuff when she is giving the proper comedic like partnership.
Material,
I feel
yeah.
like and material, yeah. But James Franco's just
No, it was just
he's
such
all
an
like, no,
odd
let the kids
pairing.
represent themselves.
They also
you
just
know?
don't make sense together in general.
No,
No.
that's what. Yeah, it's like asking Chris Pratt to host, but except he'd be more entertaining. So that's
True.
actually a bad comparison. And like some other random celebrity.
Yeah.
So
You know who actually is a really good host too? Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman's a good host.
He had a
I
great
loved
opening number.
Alec Baldwin
hey, guys.
and Steve Martin.
We have
when
to actually
they did
talk
it.
about these
Yeah,
Oscars.
we do.
You're right.
That would be
Okay.
good. Sorry,
So,
sorry.
I'm going
Next
to be,
episode, we'll talk about who our favorite hosts are from the Oscars.
Yeah.
Like-
So I'm going to be making a bit of Oscar predictions. It's kind of nerve-wracking to make it to such a huge audience, but I like to pride myself on having a pretty good track record. I am 11 for 13.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been doing it since I was like
11
in
for
third grade.
13.
I started with 2003, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, and that swept.
Ooh.
So I was really happy.
How do you quantify being 11 for 13? Like, do you have to get a
Because you
certain
started
percentage
with that
right?
movie.
Or
It's just after like 13 years of predicting.
oh no, I mean like
I-
a whole year is a lot of categories. Are you just doing Best Picture?
Oh no,
or-
Best Picture.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah,
fair.
because
Yeah.
that's
All of
that's
them.
like
Matt,
child
she
prodigy.
knew every category for 11
Yeah,
years.
that's-
She got it.
That's like yeah, and I'm really annoyed because the last two, like the only two that I've missed are the last 2 years.
Aw.
So it's been
What
annoying.
did you say last year?
So she's on a losing streak.
Yeah, I am though.
Nope, not
So,
anymore, guys. We're going to bring it back up.
Bring it, yeah. So, and it pisses me off even more because my boyfriend got them right, and it's
Oh.
like if anyone I
Rivalry,
didn't want
yeah.
to get
He's
it right
taking
is
your
like
juju.
I know, that's what I told him. It's like it's not a coincidence that I've gotten the past years wrong. If we've been dating for 2 years, like you've been sucking out my ability to predict. Yeah.
So, folks, we'll be taking bets at P.O. Box.
Yeah, a betting pool basically.
Yes, we're
The
taking
ratio
a
is
betting pool.
Moonlight has 5%, La La Land 45%. Go down the
The,
whole
o-
list.
the over-under
Yeah.
is looking like a...
So,
I think La La Land's gonna win, but only because Hollywood's obsessed with it, and the artist won in a similar fashion, so I don't see it not happening.
Yes. So last year, Spotlight won.
I was so glad Spotlight won. Were you not happy?
No.
What was your
not.
pick?
I picked The Revenant to win.
Oh no, The Revenant was garbage, man.
I still haven't seen Spotlight. It's on Netflix, right?
The thing
I'm
is
dying to watch
like-
it.
Probability wise, I get you though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, Spotlight was such a back burner that I was like, there's no way this movie is going to win.
You want to hear something
And
crazy?
then it did. What?
I predicted that last year, and I predicted 85% of the categories correct.
That's really good.
I got all the foreign ones wrong though.
So, folks,
Oh,
get
that's
your
why.
bets in. We're going to do a Matt side,
Sabrina
Matt
said.
v Sabrina. Yeah.
Matt v. Sabrina for
Yeah, but
Oscar
this year we
predictions.
both agree that we think
Yeah, I
La
mean,
La
there's,
Land
if
will
it
take
doesn't win, I'll be shocked.
The thing is that like when you get nominated for a bunch of categories, you may not sweep like Return of the King style
Return of the King
because that won 13
Yeah, which is nuts.
Oscars
Yeah.
and it was nominated for 13.
I think they'll win Best Score. I think they'll win Best Script, and I think they'll win Best Director. But that may be why they lose Best Picture. So we'll see.
I don't know.
The director is going to be the thing, though. If they win Best Director, I don't think they'll win Best Film. I don't think they'll
Why?
win both. Because a lot of the times in the Oscars, there tends to be like, okay, we'll give the director the Oscar because we didn't think that the movie overall was better than this one movie, but that movie was the best. You know?
I kind of agree with you.
Like,
yeah.
Spotlight won last year because they were like, that movie needed to be made. It was made and it was great. But then they gave the director of a different film.
But I don't think
because they
Damien
thought it was
Chazelle
better.
will win Best Director.
I don't
think
either, which
it'll
is
go to
why I
Barry
think La La
Jenkins.
Land will win.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway, so here we go. So Best Picture, La La Land. Best Actor in a Leading Role. Everyone's pushing for Casey Affleck, but I think it's going to be Denzel.
I actually don't think Casey Affleck can win.
Really?
Not after all the bad press he's gotten lately.
Oh, about potentially.
Yeah, about a lot
supposedly.
of bad things.
Yeah. Right.
Wait, whoa. Wait, you potentially, supposedly, what?
Look it up. I don't want to talk about it. on
Yeah,
the
I
podcast.
don't want to talk about it either.
And it's,
Which
it's
movie
like
was
alleged
it's
stuff.
It's alleged.
Which
and,
movie was he in?
Casey Affleck. He was in Manchester by the
Manchester
Sea.
by the Sea.
Oh, okay.
See, but the thing is, I don't think Oscar voters really care about that as much. Maybe now
I think that
they
would
do,
be. I think
but
that would be a reason not to give him the Oscar because they nominated him. But I think that'd be a reason to be like,
that's true.
this person was
But the
just
thing
as good.
is, not even that, but like the Screen Actors Guild, Denzel won. So I'm like, okay.
I don't know why Denzel would win though. Like he was good. Like, he was very good.
Mm-hmm.
But I think someone else deserves it. To be honest, I just don't think his performance was like win worthy.
Personally, like it's really hard for me to separate like how much I loved a movie with when making predictions because like I need to be objective. But I think Andrew Garfield was amazing in Hacksaw
Someone
Ridge.
else told me they
He's not
think
gonna
Andrew's gonna win.
He's not going to
Really?
win. Guaranteed.
I don't think he's gonna win either.
He can't win because nothing can win this year for that film in a major way. They just can't. This is like Mel Gibson's limp back in. So he can't win awards. He'll get nominated, but I don't think he'll win anything. And Andrew Garfield definitely can't win. He just like not with that role and not with that movie. Although I thought he was great. Like I didn't see the movie. I thought he did a very good job in terms of like I watched trailers. I saw his accent. Like I thought he was doing I just can't watch that movie because I can't watch a Mel Gibson movie, but
Right.
and as upsetting as it is to me that that's his limp back into the industry because there are talks of him directing huge films for like Marvel or DC and I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, I don't think he'll get there.
Fingers crossed.
I don't think he'll.
But I do feel bad for Andrew Garfield because I think he deserves some nods for that role, especially how
he got a
demanding it was.
nomination, so that's
Yeah.
a nod in itself.
It is a nod.
But anyway, so back to the point.
Who do you think will win outside of Denzel? You don't have another front runner?
I think it'll be, if it's not Denzel, it'll be Casey Affleck.
All right.
Yeah. And then for female, I'm pretty sure Emma Stone has got it in the bag.
Who are the other nominees for that?
Natalie Portman.
For what?
She's not going to win.
For Jackie.
Yeah.
That was the next person that I thought could really do it. But I saw Jackie.
She'd have to be a sleeper because that movie wasn't that huge. Even in the award circle. It was just like, oh, that was a good story, you know?
She was really great at it, though. Like, she was really good at bringing out, like, Jackie Onassis and everything. And, like, even her mannerisms and everything. So I think that, and plus the Oscars love to award bio flicks.
Yeah.
They love it. They eat it up. Like, freaking Eddie Redmayne winning.
Yeah.
All he did was sit in a chair.
Oh, I thought he was
Sorry.
really good.
Oh, whatever.
I mean, that's true. That is usually how it sleeps in, though, is from a biopic. So that's possible.
So Meryl Streep is also nominated
She's
for
not winning.
It's like, why?
She gets nominated every year.
Why?
For what?
I don't understand. Like,
what she was nominated
for
for Florence Jenkins, right?
Florence Foster Jenkins.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
I don't.
No
even,
one watched. Who watched
I don't
this
even
movie?
remember hearing about that movie.
It
I was
came
gonna
out-
say for a second, I was like, was she nominated for Ricky and the Flash? Like,
I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
She was nominated last year for Ricky and the Flash. That's
she's
that old.
been nominated
Think about
a couple
it.
years in
These
a row.
people have been voting for her since freaking 1979.
It's crazy.
Kramer versus Kramer. So it's like, okay, let's
But
just
they're not going to
keep-
give her an award.
No, they're
just going
not.
to keep nominating her. I mean, that movie looked good. It had Hugh Grant, and like it looked like my kind of movie, but it didn't look like an Oscar award winner. So I was
Let me
surprised.
tell you who should have been nominated in this category and who should win, but they weren't, and that's Amy Adams in Arrival.
I know. I'm really sad
And
about it.
That would have been my pick, but because she's not nominated, I'm saying the strongest candidate is going to Emma Stone. She won the SAG award.
I mean, Emma Stone's going to win.
Yeah,
But I mean,
so-
that's just what it is. Yeah.
All right, so next category, actress in a leading role or a supporting role is probably going to go to Viola Davis. Actor in a supporting role will be, I hope I'm saying this right, but Marshala Ali.
Mahershala Ali, yeah.
Yeah, from Moonlight.
For Moonlight, yeah.
Yeah.
No, if he doesn't win, that's what I'll be upset about.
Yeah, I mean, Dev Patel in Lion, though, I heard that was amazing.
I heard it was really good, but like that story is so hard, and he did such a good job. Like
That's
I'll
true.
be really upset.
All right.
Not to say that like Lion wasn't an inspiring story, but I'm saying
Yeah.
like telling Moonlight, like being in that in that way is hard for an
Yeah.
actor, and I think he deserves it more. But we'll see.
I think he's gonna win. Directing, as I mentioned earlier, I think we'll go to Barry Jenkins for Moonlight. The only other person that I could see it going to is well,
Who are the nominees again?
it's Denis Villeneuve for Arrival, Mel Gibson for Hacksaw Ridge, La La Land, Damien Chazelle. I don't know who directed Manchester by the Sea. It's just saying the movie here, and then Barry Jenkins for Moonlight. So all of those are really strong movies.
And
But-
Damien's not going to get it to us because he's too young. They just won't give it to him because they're going to be ageist based on who's voting. You got to think about who's
That's
voting.
true.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Arrival won just because
Me
they didn't get any
neither.
other nods.
Well,
And
they
his
got,
direction was really good.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if he'll win director because he's still really new, but it's Arrival. Okay, so for directing, I think Barry Jenkins for Moonlight.
Yeah.
But cinematography, the categories are pretty much the same, except it's Arrival, La La Land, Lion, Moonlight, and Silence. I think Arrival will win.
That's the strongest one in there, actually, I would say.
Yeah.
Because La La Land had some serious, like basic issues in cinematography, even though they went for, like, a crazy style.
The only thing is that, like, with the colors, I feel like they might be, like, this is so different, blah, blah, or just,
But I
like,
wouldn't.
very
That was
vibrant.
costume. I think if they don't win for costume design, then that's a sin. But I don't think they'll win for cinematography.
Because it's completely two different styles. So, like, one's really bright and vibrant and really saturated. The other one's very muted. But I think Arrival is beautiful. The only other, so I really think it's a toss-up between Arrival, La La Land, and Moonlight. I don't think Silence or Lion have a chance against those power three. But officially, I'm going to go with Arrival. I love the movie. Cinematography, the light was beautiful.
The lighting was really well done.
Very beautiful. And the guy who did the cinematography is, like, super young.
He is quite young.
Super young. I watched this, like, behind the scenes thing that they played after the movie, and it was just like, wow, it's really, really cool. And that'd be so
the director's
cool.
not super old either.
Yeah, he's not. He's just, I think this is like his third movie that's like in English. So,
True.
but okay, so yeah, costume design, Allied, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Florence Foster Jenkins, Jackie, La La Land. La La Land will probably take that. Animated feature film.
This is a rough category, honestly. This
Yeah.
is the one I'm flipping on.
I'm nervous
Yeah,
about this
so-
one, and from a boy Lynn, I'm nervous about these two.
Right. So Kubo, Moana, My Life as a Zucchini,
No.
The Red Turtle, and Zootopia. For me, it's between Kubo and the Two Strings, Moana, and Zootopia.
Zootopia.
Agreed. Well,
I think Moana will win, though.
I think it's gonna come down to either Zootopia or Moana.
I actually think Kubo could be the black horse.
I think so too.
Kubo coming up from the back.
Because it's the
Kubo
most
is-
sophisticated of all those.
Yes.
And Oscars
I
like
think
that.
so too.
So we'll see.
I think so too. But I'm gonna officially say Zootopia.
Really?
Yeah.
I think, you know what? I gotta separate myself for a minute. Because, like, I think Moana's a better movie. But I think the Oscars might appreciate Kubo and Zootopia more than Moana. Because Moana is really basically just a Disney movie.
Nah, I'm putting my money on Moana. Lynn all the way, baby. Lynn all the way.
Well, Lynn, I think will win Best Song for
I hope
It's
so.
How far I'll go.
it's City of Stars also got nominated too.
and the
right?
audition song.
Yeah.
So-
So my friend Rose is totally convinced. She's like, I don't think he's gonna win. I think it's gonna go to La La Land. I was like, shut your mouth.
I mean, she's probably right, though.
No.
Anyway,
don't
we need
know.
to kind of wrap this up a
Okay,
little
so
bit.
now I'm just gonna talk about original screenplay, La La Land. It's not even like a category. And then, but that's original screenplay. Adapted screenplay is the hard screenplay category.
I
this
know,
year
it's weird.
because it's Arrival, Fences, Hidden Figure, Lion, and Moonlight. Those are all amazing stories.
I don't know what could win. Like, I gotta tell
I
you,
honestly
think,
don't know.
I think only because it's not gonna win that many other categories, Hidden Figures might get the nod.
I
on
was
that.
thinking the
I
same
was thinking
thing.
that too. My money was either on Hidden Figures or Moonlight.
That's what I was thinking too. I was kind of just like, those are the two clear winners in terms of other awards influencing them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that at the very least, if Moonlight's not going to win something else, that's what they'll win.
I think so too. It would just be such a shame if Hidden Figures didn't win anything.
Yeah.
But also, like, I don't know, because that's the thing is, like, over the past 2 years, it's always been like, I didn't think it was a strong storytelling year.
Mhm.
The past
This year
few
was
years.
the strongest in a
And
while.
then this year was just, all the movies were amazing. I wasn't disappointed with anything I saw. I didn't come out being like, oh my God, I can't believe I wasted my money on that.
Yeah.
You know,
last
it
year
was
was
like,
rough, honestly.
last year was really bad. I mean, the year before that, at least we had Whiplash. Oh, like
That was the gem. Yeah.
it's just like, okay, whatever. Last year was horrible. This year it's so good. So it's like all these are really great stories and I want them all to win. Like, can we just divide an Oscar into fifths
It
and
is
just
rough
give it
that,
to
like-
them?
Just like the scene from Mean Girls.
Yeah, like a piece for you, a piece for Damien Chazelle, like, or whatever, like, for Oliver, for everybody. But it's just,
It's interesting that like some years that's like a throwaway category, and this year it's the hardest.
it's the hardest category, and people don't get a lot of, or like give a lot of recognition to screenwriting or, you know, anything besides
especially
acting.
to adapted screenplays.
Yeah. But so if I had to say a movie, I don't know, because Fences is also like really well adapted, but I don't know. I think I'm going to say, oh God, it's so hard.
You
It's
can't
like,
pick?
it's like like
Picking your
Sophie's
favorite
choice.
kid.
It's literally Sophie's choice.
Inserts clip
I'm
of
going
Cam
to
from
say
Modern
Hidden
Family crying.
Figures. I'm going to say Hidden Figures.
I actually agree with you. Only because
Yeah.
I think Moonlight's getting a different award. La La Land's also going to get other awards. So
Yeah.
I think
Well,
it just comes down to-
La La Land is original.
or not La La
I
Land.
meant-
Sorry,
Yeah.
Fences. Is what I meant to say.
Yeah. So,
Because I think Denzel won.
yep. But finally, the last one I want to talk about, film editing, just because editing never gets any recognition and
Never.
it's the hardest part of the movie. And if you do your job well, no one's supposed to notice. But anyway,
Mini rant over.
so Arrival, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, La La Land, and Moonlight. I haven't watched Moonlight. I haven't seen what the pacing is like
I
in
think
it yet.
Arrival is the
But
clear choice there.
Arrival, I would love for it to win editing. Like, that
Well,
would
Hell or
make
High
it
Water
amazing.
to me, like I don't even know why it's in that category. La La Land, I actually think there were some editing mistakes, so I would say no. Moonlight, I feel like it's just in there because of the content editing less than the tech, so that usually doesn't win the category. It's just
Right.
recognition.
Right.
So I think that just makes most sense.
Yeah, I think the tech editing really should go to Arrival.
Yeah.
And also the sound mixing categories. I know it's nominated. I think it deserves all of that. Making me believe that those aliens were speaking a different language. You deserve all the recognition. Plus, I love sci-fi, and sci-fi rarely
Nominated,
gets
yeah.
nominated for these things. So it's really exciting.
Except
But-
when The Martian last year.
Yeah, but it still like didn't really.
But like
Too
the
much,
but
yeah.
the
Too much.
Martian. Okay, the Martian like wasn't like alien sci-fi. You
No,
know?
I
Yeah,
feel
it was
you. I
like,
completely
oh,
understand.
NASA, futuristic thing. But yeah, so those are my
Biology.
predictions. I could fall flat on my face and get all of them wrong. I don't think I will. But next week we'll
We'll go
probably
over it.
revisit what we got wrong, what we got right,
Why
and just
doesn't,
talk about the
uh,
show in general.
Why don't we all fill out a prediction form and bring it next week to show how we did?
Ooh,
I'm
that'd
down
be
for that.
fun. Nico.
Nico, you on the same page?
Nico's not about it. He's like, no.
What's probably gonna happen is I'm gonna watch the Oscars, right? And then I'm gonna fill it out.
Oh.
And I'm
No,
gonna
no,
come
no.
back-
I'd
knew
come
he
in
was
as a
gonna say that.
I'm
prodigy.
gonna come back and be like, yeah,
No,
you
no,
guys
no.
didn't even know.
Timestamp necessary. Timestamp required. Anyway, moving on then from the Oscars section, which is not so white this year, we're going to move into the little bit of movie nerd news. Got just a couple things for you this
Shameless
week.
plug. Can't wait for them to be more Latinos in Hollywood. But anyway, go ahead.
Fingers crossed.
So today we got a new Iron Fist trailer.
Whoop whoop.
Gives a bit of more insight and overview of the actual series. Series is set to premiere on March 17th on Netflix. So, you know,
Yes. Get pumped.
once March 17th comes, you can finish the whole season and then have nothing to watch.
Exactly.
I literally posted, if anybody needs me the 17th through 19th, sorry, I got bad news for you.
The magic of binge watching, kids.
I mean, I just know what happened with Luke Cage. I want to warn people ahead of time that I'm not going to be useful for 2 days.
Oh God. I still have to finish season 2. I'm
You're
behind
so
on
behind.
everything.
You're not even trying.
I know, but like I'm stuck on episode 4 of Jessica Jones right now, and I like can't get past that. And I know once I get past that episode, it's gonna get really good.
Oh, really?
But,
You're on
yeah.
4 and it's still not good?
I know, yeah, it just like hasn't really like picked up the pace. I'm just kind of like bored right now.
What just happened? When did you watch it?
God, I think she
Oh,
like
spoilers, by the way.
she like busted in an apartment where she thought Kilgrave was, and he was there, and oh God, I think there was like a cop.
And he kills the family.
Yeah. And like just like nothing like really exciting has happened yet, you know?
It's I think
Just-
the episode after this that I went, oh my God. So
Yeah.
episode 5 I think is the gem. Just get through 5. If you hate it, stop watching. Go to the next
I just
show.
like because I want to get through Jessica Jones, then I want to do Daredevil season 2, and then Luke Cage, and then Iron Fist.
So I will say, if you can't get through Jessica Jones after episode 5, do Daredevil season 2 and then watch Luke Cage and then go back.
Okay.
Daredevil season 2 is very strong.
Very,
I
very
know.
strong. And Luke Cage is even stronger. So,
All right.
but anyway,
Iron Fist.
Oh yeah, and it works out because the 17th is on a Friday.
yeah,
Oh,
no,
perfect.
it's perfect.
They did that on purpose. Thank you, Netflix gods.
In other news, Simon Kinberg is in talks to direct the next X-Men sequel.
Which isn't shocking considering his involvement in the projects.
Yeah, he was actually the screenwriter for Apocalypse, Days of Future Past, and he also had a part in Deadpool.
Wow.
You know the real issue.
Which is?
What's the rest?
Apocalypse.
Nah.
You wrote it, man.
I mean, I didn't see Apocalypse.
It was not great. That's the best I can say. I can't say
I
it
didn't
was
watch
awful.
it either.
It was just a mess. It was like, you remember Spider-Man 3?
Yeah.
Oh God.
They just had too much
Lightly
going on.
laughs. Yeah.
It was
what about
just
it?
like the plot was ignored. Like the idea that there should be a coherent plot was ignored,
There's
and
just
they
a
just
lot
There was
kinda-
an emo dancing. You're telling me?
as a matter of fact, no.
Oh wow,
God.
I didn't even think about that.
That's my only thing I think of when I think of the first thing I think of when I think of Spider-Man 3. That and Sandman being like,
Sandman.
That whole thing.
Sand.
And don't forget
Being
Topher
wet
Grace
sand.
coming in as Venom.
he was. It's
Hello.
sad because he wasn't even a bad Venom. Like the Venom was just awful. Like the way it was written.
Yeah.
And then so he looks ridiculous, and then every villain's in it, and it's just awful.
Just
makes
that-
me sad.
Yeah, just that whole movie.
So
But
yeah,
let's
go
not
out
get-
and watch Spider-Man 3. It's a great movie.
I made
But-
all my friends watch it for my 13th birthday, and
Probably
I
all
was
hated
surprised I still had friends the next year.
I like to watch bad movies with friends though. Like I
Oh no, I went because I thought it was gonna be amazing.
oh, that's rough.
I was
Oh,
I was
like
really
one of those birthday
into.
trips where he took everyone to the movie theater.
No, it was even worse.
Oh,
I made them all watch it at my house,
And you couldn't, like,
so they could have left, but
locks
they
everyone
felt
in the room.
obligated to stay.
That's nice of them.
Yeah.
God, so bad.
Oh,
was bad.
that happened to me. I went to go see. Did you guys ever see Haywire?
No.
No.
So it was this movie a couple years back. It had Ewan McGregor, a bunch of awesome people. It's this action flick. And it was like one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And I went to go see it with a bunch of friends on my birthday. And it turns out like the female actress that was in it had like all of her lines dubbed by somebody else because her voice wasn't what they were looking for, but her body and I guess acting was.
I guess we'll just dub your voice.
And like
ADR.
Ewan McGregor's in it, but he's like a throwaway character, and it
Right.
just was so
That's so
bad.
weird.
And then I left, and I was just like, I mean, it was great because we've referenced it for years since we saw it.
Right.
But you just feel so bad that everyone had to pay to see this movie
yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
Hot mess.
At least they didn't have to pay.
That's hilarious.
So that's the benefit of seeing Spider-Man 3 with you.
That's
But getting
true.
back to Apocalypse, it's at best a C, maybe a C plus. I gotta tell you. And so and the reason
Think of it this way: nothing can be worse than the new Fantastic Four movie.
That's what I was about to say. How bad is it compared to
I liked the new Fantastic Four movie.
Matt, you're
Not
like
because it was
popular
good.
opinion.
That's awkward.
No,
That's awkward.
not because it was good. But I just didn't think I went in with such low expectations because I went to see it with my girlfriend after it had been murdered by everybody. Like it was crapped on in the press, it was crapped on Rotten Tomatoes. Every podcast I listened to talked about how bad it was. So then when we saw it, we're like, oh, this isn't even that bad. Like I don't know if you guys.
Well, we were
saw
just
it.
thinking it was gonna be
It's
like a
not
black
that
screen
bad.
the whole time.
It's just it's like
Just a blank screen.
I couldn't finish it because
Really?
it was
It is
just
slow in
so
the middle.
paced.
It is
couldn't even
slow
finish
in
the
middle.
trailer. Like, let's just talk about that for a second. But
anyway, Apocalypse not great. If you haven't seen it yet, I mean, if you're an X-Men completionist, it's worth watching. Otherwise, not really. But what else have you got for us?
Well, just to close out on that. No sequel has been confirmed yet, So please don't get nervous yet.
So just kind of like in the rumor mill.
This is just a rumor mill.
Yeah, this episode of Art Things
Well-
Considered has been sponsored by the Rumor Mill.
Yeah. Well, if you see those photos where it like compares, what's his face who plays young Charles? I always forget his name. No, Mr. Tumnus.
Oh, James.
James McAvoy.
James
McAvoy.
McAvoy. When you like compare James McAvoy, it's like 1973, 1973 to Patrick Stewart, who's like plays Xavier in like 1980 or something like that. And I was like, oh, those must have been a nasty 7 years for Xavier. 'Cause, like,
Yeah.
Literally, though, he looks so. Yeah.
it's great. Anyways,
In other news, I'm not sure how to say his name. Ewan.
Ewan McGregor.
No.
No, I said the same thing when he asked me, though.
Oh, no.
Because
Ewan-
anyone who starts to say I'm like, Ewan McGregor.
No, it's Ian McGregor.
It's it's Ewan McGregor.
Ewan.
Ewan.
Ewan Rayon.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones guy.
Oh.
That's all we need.
Has been cast as Maximus for the lead of the Inhumans, the live action ABC.
Oh, I saw that, and I hate his character in Game of Thrones. Okay, but I'm willing to it's
Don't be
okay.
willing.
All right,
Well,
it's like, we'll
I'm
see
sure.
how you
I
do
gotta
in
tell you,
Humans.
it's the only thing I've seen from Marvel that I don't have any faith in.
Well, they said
Inhumans?
his character is described as clever and charming.
Okay.
His take on Maximus. So,
Complete opposite of him in Game of Thrones. Good to know. Good to know.
I'm just worried because of all the production trouble that the Inhumans has had that it's just not
Yeah.
going to be good.
Yeah, they have had a lot of problems with it. Well, okay, so like I'm confused. Are they even making it a movie?
No, they're making a TV show now.
no, it's a TV show, but what's gonna happen is the first two pilots. Well, it's a 2-part pilot, and the 2-part pilot is gonna be shown in IMAX theaters.
Okay.
That comes
Okay.
on September 1st. Then on September
That seems like a
26th,
bad sign to me, to be honest.
It's really complicated. When I was reading it, it was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. So you're gonna watch it on September 1st if you're going to the movies, and then on the 26th is when the television show will start.
Yeah, I honestly feel like they're just trying to do that in case the show bombs. They still get some money from the box office revenue because Marvel fans turn out.
Yeah.
True.
But it's like weird. Like why can't
Exactly.
you just have like either make it a movie or make it a TV show fully, one or the other?
No, we're doing this new thing. We're gonna do a TV movie hybrid.
Yeah.
So what's gonna happen is every 8th episode, we're gonna go back to the movies.
We'll be back to the movies.
We heard about the Doctor Who Christmas specials, and we want to follow that model.
Oh my god. Anyone ever watch the Star Wars Christmas special?
Let's not get
No.
into it. Let's cut it off right there. Anything else for us, Nico?
I didn't know those existed.
Don't watch it. Don't watch it.
And lastly, filming began on the Star Wars Han Solo
Oh wow.
anthology.
Speaking of
film.
Star Wars, wow, I
Yes.
didn't even know it was the next
Yeah.
thing.
I'm
Great
gonna
segue,
talk
right?
about that, so don't
Oh,
talk about
not too much. I was just saying. It started on February 20th. The
Whoop, whoop.
movie is set to release May 28th of next year.
Listen, if I'm just gonna say this, if they do a good job for this Han Solo movie, I have low expectations. I'm not expecting a
Me
lot
too.
out of it. Okay, I don't.
You know what I
didn't.
am expecting?
That's
I'm
bad,
expecting
'cause I have
Donald
high
Glover.
I was
expectations.
gonna say I'm most excited for him. That's
I'm
it.
Yeah, of
expecting
course.
Donald
But
Glover to
That-
be amazing.
that's all I'm
I
excited.
didn't want this movie. I didn't ask for this movie, but if this movie kills, y'all better give me my Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, okay? I'm saying it right now. Ewan's up for it. We're all up for it. He's at the perfect age. We all want it. He wants it. You know you want to do it, okay?
God.
End of
Everyone knows
story.
he wants it. You know it.
I'm
I know
saying.
it. Everybody knows.
And on that wonderfully odd note,
Very odd.
I'll go ahead and transition into the movies segment. I'm going to run through the top 10 really fast because we are running a little bit long this episode. Lego Batman still number 1 with another 32 million. It's on its way to making back tons of money. 50 Shades Darker, another 20 million this weekend. It's
Interesting.
20
I heard it got a
million.
9% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's rough, yeah. I heard it's just a bunch of sex scenes. The Great Wall opened awful, just awfully like we expected. 18 million in its first weekend, huge budget, 150 million. It's not making it back. That's what happens when you're culturally insensitive. John Wick Chapter 2 in the number 4 spot dropped about 46%. This movie's making plenty of its money because it's a low budget, another 16 million in its pocket. Fist Fight opened this weekend. It makes me sad because I think it's going to be hilarious, but it only opened at 12 million in the number 5 spot. Hopefully it's good when I go see it anyway.
Was that the one about the teachers?
Yes.
Okay, that one looked funny.
It looks really funny, so
Shout
I'm
out to
hoping
my
it's
guy,
good.
C-Day.
Yo, see you day. I'll let you know when I talk to him this weekend, when I see him in the movie.
That's my guy.
Number 6, Hidden Figures, 7 million. An extra on top of that. It's made God, it's made so much money off of that compared to its budget anyway.
Adds another cherry to the top.
Isn't it nice to have so many cherries on top of that whipped cream?
Yeah, right.
Split, another Cinderella story in terms of budget versus gross. It's made $124 million, $9 million budget. That's got to make
That's
M.
a
Night
little bit.
very happy.
That's
Yeah.
really good.
And then we have A Dog's Purpose, which as much as it got hurt from all the publicity, it's made money back already.
Yeah, because kids didn't see that video,
Well, I mean,
so
it
they
didn't-
want to see the movie.
It didn't make that much money. It's made like 50 million so far, but its budget was only 22 million. So I feel like they knew going in they had to keep it low just in case something happened.
That's true.
Number 9, still just chilling. La La Land with another 4.5 million this weekend, which is nuts, by the way. Anyway, and then number 10, A Cure for Wellness with another 4.3 million this weekend.
That
It's
one looks
opening.
scary.
It looked creepy as heck, but I gotta tell you,
Yeah.
it opened very poorly. Number 10.
That's what I was about to say. It just opened.
Yeah, number 10 with 4.3 million, $40 million budget. I mean, if it gets good traction, it might be able to make it back, but probably not. All right, opening this weekend, we have Get Out, Jordan Peele's directorial debut.
I can't wait for that.
They actually had a free showing here in Gainesville, and I couldn't go, and I was so sad.
No.
But I will gladly give Jordan Peele my money. It looks so good. You can catch trailers online for that, but it's about an interracial couple that visits her family in a white town, and things don't go so well.
Oh my god, that one looks so like wax museum type thing to me. You know what I'm saying?
You know, it has that vibe. Collide's also opening this weekend. There's not high expectations on it because it had a lot of trouble with switching studios and funding and stuff like that. But it's got an all-star cast: Nick Holt, Felicity Jones, Anthony Hopkins, Ben Kingsley, and it's about an American backpacker who gets involved with drug rings and he goes on the
Same.
run.
Some, cash.
It's a casual action movie with a lot of stars, so it'll either be good or eye candy. Lastly, Rock Dog opens this weekend, stars Eddie Izzard, Louis Black, Luke Wilson, and J.K. Simmons, so plenty of nice voices in there. It's an animated film.
Nice voices.
Well, it's it's an animated film, so there's no acting really. It's voice acting. It's an animated film about when a radio falls from the sky into this Tibetan mastiff. It's basically an attempt to take a Chinese story as an animated movie and bring it to American audiences, so it's kind of like testing that theory.
Okay.
And lastly, to wrap up this episode of Art Things Considered, I have foregone Matt's thoughts in order to just have a little bit of time to toss in an Erica thought before we wrap up.
Aw.
So, as I was saying earlier, Han Solo film releases its first cast photo.
Han Solo.
And it started its filming. I gotta tell you, this photo's been shared like crazy. It's also been memed like crazy. People keep saying like the cast of so and so from this point, and the memes are phenomenal. So if you haven't checked it out, check that out. And yeah, it's just really exciting. All the cast together. The photo looks like a big family. I gotta tell you, like I that's why I have a little bit more high expectations for this film, because it looks like everyone's having a fun time already.
Yeah,
Which is super
I have
exciting.
high expectations for it. I'm not gonna lie.
Anything with Donald Glover, you better not give me
Yeah,
subpar.
the thing is like exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Because
honestly.
I don't see him putting in any effort into a project that he doesn't think will be good.
Oh, you know who else is in it that I forgot? Woody. What's his name?
Woody Harrelson, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Woody Harrelson
he's
is
in
in
it.
it.
And also,
and he'll be good.
we have to mention this. Donald Glover just got cast as Simba
In the
in the
Lion
live
King
action
live
Lion
action.
King
Oh, he did.
movie,
Yes,
which
he
will be
did.
directed by
Yes,
Jon
he
Favreau, who
did.
did the Jungle Book.
Whoop,
So
whoop.
I'm
oh my
excited.
God, Isabella, calm down.
And they're keeping what's his name? Darth
James
Vader.
Earl
Earl Jones.
Jones.
Yep, they're keeping him too as Mufasa.
Yeah, if you haven't heard about that, go ahead and look it up. It's actually pretty cool. There's not too much news about it, but the people that they've confirmed for the movie seems pretty awesome.
Oh, now they have a Star Wars connection.
Yeah,
Yes, they
I
do.
know. I was thinking
Yes,
that too.
they do.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, so pretty awesome.
We're dropping jewels. in ATC.
This week's episode is sponsored by Nico's Jewels.
Yep.
Dropping jewels like crazy. And that's going to wrap up this week's edition of Art Things Considered, where we consider art. Hopefully you enjoyed this slightly longer than usual episode. My name is Matthew Slaza,
Isabella Pico.
I'm Sabrina Braga.
And I'm Nico Williams.
and we'll see you next week. Hopefully you didn't fall asleep. Alarm clock.